Welcome back to Sun Devil Extra from the Mountain America Credit Union Sun Devil Radio Network. I'm Tim Healey, the radio play-by-play voice of the Sun Devils, and your host for our show. We're happy that you joined us this week. As we continue our discussion of Arizona State's name, image, and likeness initiatives, we welcome to this segment of the show the woman who was hired just over 1 year ago this time to serve as the executive director of the Sun Angel Collective. That is the community of Sun Devil Athletics supporters who have come together to help manage and oversee ASU student athletes' NIL opportunities. It is a pleasure to welcome Brittani Willett to the show here this week. Brittani, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Now, you had been working, as I understand it, with the NHL's Arizona Coyotes prior to coming over to ASU. What factors attracted you to take this job at Arizona State and enter into the really transformational realm of name, image, and likeness in intercollegiate athletics?
Yeah, a lot of what I had been doing with the Coyotes kind of aligned with this role. So when I started with them, I was on their, ran their community relations and foundation. So a lot of the, working with the local nonprofits, working with the athletes to integrate them into the community, and donor relations, and then kind of coming out of COVID with the Coyotes, I was on their corporate partnership team. So also, working with businesses here in the Valley, and it really just encompassed a lot of what I currently do in my role.
Outstanding. It just seems like it's a great fit for you here.
Yeah.
And give us an overview of exactly what it is that you and your colleagues in the Sun Angel Collective do in terms of managing ASU student athletes' NIL opportunities.
Yeah, so I usually kind of break it down into 4 parts. So we have kind of 4 different areas of focus. One, growing our membership base. That is really critically important to kind of our success is, people can get involved at all different levels. They get different things at varying levels. So really, managing that and growing that base, working with our larger donors, kind of making sure that we're directing their funds where they want to go. I guess I should note that we have actually added a new feature where even if you are giving in the monthly program, you can allocate what sports your funds are going to support. So that happens once you get through making a donation. On the last step is kind of allocating where you'd like your funds to go. Mm-hmm. We also work with the business community to, let them know that this is an opportunity and something they can use kind of in their marketing efforts, is, integrating athletes into that. And that can look like a lot of different things.
Right.
And then working with the athletes. So we, when an athlete is working with us, to be compensated, they have to do something to earn those funds. We align them with a local nonprofit to give back to the community, and then that's kind of what they're compensated for.
How would you compare where ASU's NIL operation is now from where it was when you started here about 13 months ago?
Night and day difference. So we have set up a lot of systems. It's been a lot of education the last year, just really, people just getting them to understand like what NIL is, how can they get involved, how we're here to support, why it matters. So last year has been a lot of education and a lot of setting up processes and putting systems in place. And now we're starting to see kind of the fruits of those labors. Mm-hmm.
We talked about this with Chris Michaels on the previous segment, but how does ASU's NIL war chest, if you will, right now compare with those of some of the other schools that we will see as competitors in the future, starting next year when ASU moves to the Big 12 conference? Yeah,
in the last, I'd say 30 to 45 days, we've had a lot of success that I think kind of puts us towards the middle of that group, hoping to continue to build that momentum, with the $1 million match that we have going on right now. Anyone that makes a donation, their donations being matched dollar for dollar up to $1 million. If we can fulfill that whole $1 million, that's really going to kind of push us ahead there.
Yeah. And talk a little bit more about that $1 million match and how it came about. And it seems like it's, it's just a godsend almost for this NIL endeavor right now.
Yeah, we are very fortunate that we had a group of, passionate supporters kind of rally together and, make a significant contribution to the collective to kind of get things kick-started for this next year. And part of that was putting together a $1 million match to just kind of activate the Valley and let people know, like, hey, if you were on the fence about it, if you're, $10 was going to make a difference. Well, your $10 is now $20, and it all adds up. So it definitely makes a difference, and I just encourage everyone to get involved.
All right, someone is out there watching or listening, and they want to get involved with the Sun Angel Collective. They want to be a part of this effort. Where can they go to make a donation? How can they get involved?
Yeah, you can go to our website, sunangels.org. There's contact information for me on there as well. So if you have questions, you want to talk through things before you make that donation, I'm happy to have a conversation. But otherwise, you can just go directly to our website and you can sign up to become a monthly member or make a one-time donation.
Mm-hmm. Now, you touched on this earlier, but let's emphasize that fans can actually designate where their money goes to, can they not?
They can, yeah. That is a newer feature. So prior to, probably about 2 weeks ago, when you were a monthly supporter, that was not an option. But that has been added just from feedback that we have received from donors that they want to know where their money is going. So we listened and we put that in place. It is, I will say, you have to get through the process of you put your donation in and it's the very last step, because I do get that question a lot. So very last step is kind of allocating where your funds will go.
If I'm a business owner, how can I utilize ASU student athletes as part of the NIL strategy?
Yeah, we can get super creative on what that looks like, but leveraging the athletes' social media following. A lot of them have, pretty solid followings, and their fan base and supporters are engaged with what they're sharing. We can do a meet and greet, autograph signing. We really can be creative. We've seen people do commercials, billboards, just lots of different avenues there. So happy to, help facilitate any of those conversations as well.
Are there any other things that the student athletes are doing to earn their NIL funds?
Seen kind of all sorts of things. A lot of those things that I just touched on, when it comes to donor raised funds, generally the athlete is getting involved with a local nonprofit. So either, going out and volunteering at a Boys and Girls Club, or helping at a food bank, also utilizing their social platform to drive awareness to a cause they might be passionate about. So it can look like a lot of different things.
Now, our guest on the next segment of our show is going to be a familiar face to Sun Devil football fans. Quarterback Trenton Bourget is going to come on with us. You talk about a young man who stepped up and donated $10,000 of his own NIL cash, if you will, to the Sun Angel Collective, and then has issued the TB16 challenge as well. And I'm wondering how that challenge is going so far.
Yeah, we've seen some really great success with it. So when you go to our website to get involved, there is a level there that's $16 a month, and that's part of the TB16 challenge that Trenton's put together. So he's matching that. Right now, if you sign up at that level, you're getting a match for the first $10,000, and then also the $1 million match on top of that. So you're tripling your dollars. So talk about a win-win-win there.
For sure. And isn't there also a level of donation at $42 a month, the number 42, so special, of course, to everybody that cares about Arizona State, because it was the uniform number worn by the late, great Pat Tillman when he played football here.
Correct.
Is there a 42?
There is, yeah.
That's a level as well. Huh?
Yep.
Now, Coach Kenny Dillingham has become almost a spokesperson for the group. He has taken the lead almost with his efforts in behalf of NIL. How valuable has that been to your program? Oh,
it's significant. We couldn't ask for a better person out there kind of rallying people to support. Coach Dillingham came on board, I think, 2 weeks after I was hired. So really kind of helped kickstart things. We launched with some large donations with people rallying behind him, and he's continued to kind of share that messaging throughout the Valley.
It would probably be worth emphasizing that this whole NIL effort, it's not just a football thing or football and men's basketball. This is every sport across the board at Arizona State, isn't it?
Correct. Yep. The collective is set up to support all sports, and that's where that piece where you can kind of allocate where your funds comes into play, that you can choose where you want your funds to be going, and we'll make sure that that's where they're routed to.
So before we wrap up, again, why don't you let fans know where they can go, how they can get involved in NIL?
Yeah, Sun Angels, and it's Angels with an S on the end, .org, and you'll see a few different options on there. Like we talked about some of those levels, the TV 16, the $42 a month, PT 42. It can vary, and then there's also a one-time donation spot on there as well.
Great information, Brittani, and we're so thankful for all you do for ASU athletics. Thanks for joining us on the show this week.
Thanks for having me.
That's Sun Devil Brittani Willett. She is the executive director of the Sun Angel Collective, and she's been our guest on this segment of Sun Devil Extra. Up next, we will wrap up this week's show by visiting with a marquee Sun Devil student athlete who's letting his money do the talking in his efforts to help ASU's NIL efforts. We'll visit with Arizona State football quarterback Trenton Bourguet in just a moment. But first, these messages. This is Sun Devil Extra, coming your way from the Mountain America Credit Union Sun Devil Radio Network.